Kyrie and the Nets are currently at an impasse as conversations go on about Kyrie's future with the Nets in the near future. Can we possibly see a LeBron and Kyrie reunion in LA? And also, how will Kevin Durant feel about all this? That'll be on today's show on Cooper Sports Podcast.
No idea.
And you are now listening to Cooper Sports Podcast. Remember, you may be streaming this on YouTube or Spotify, bringing the best content from the NBA and NFL each podcast. Thank you for joining. Episode 2 today, Kyrie Irving. That's what we're going to get into today for episode 2. So let's get it rolling. First, I'd like to say episode 1, I think, was a great success. I think I did good. Y'all tell me what y'all think about it, and let me know. We're getting some followers and subscribers on both platforms, so I think if I keep going, keep making a push, I think I'll be there, and I'll get there. All right, so episode 2, Kyrie Irving, let's get into it. So it has just been reported. It was reported first this morning, and I checked on my phone when I looked at it when I woke up and I first saw it. There's reports by The Athletic that Kyrie Irving and the Nets are at an impasse right now with his future with the Nets, and the contract talks are on hold. And so his future basically with the Nets is in balance right now. So Kyrie Irving has a $36.9 million player option for the 2022-2023 season. It is due on June 29th at the end of the month. So we don't know how this is going to go. So with Kyrie Irving, here's the thing. Kyrie Irving is a baller. He brings a lot to a team. I think that the Nets picking him up in the first place and I think with the Nets picking up Kyrie was a great option. I think pairing up Kyrie with KD, I think was a good option. I think it was a very good, smart idea on both sides. But here's the thing. Brooklyn, do you know what you're going to get into? Brooklyn, are you sure you want to get away with this? Do you want to give your best point guard away? Because here's what you're dealing with. Okay, so Kyrie first gets there, all right? First season, they don't have KD, obviously. So Kyrie's going to be the one to step up. Well, I think Kyrie went away. He didn't go to the bubble. I think he was out that year. I'm not for sure. 2021, they come in. They have their squad, their duo, KD and Kyrie. They get Harden. I thought that group was going to win a chip. I guess not. You get into the playoffs, you take out Boston the first round, then Kyrie, gets that foot injury against Milwaukee, so that doesn't help. So he's out for the rest of the series. They get bounced Game 7, tough loss by my man KD. But it's all right. We're not here to talk about that. So that happens, and then you come into this next season, and then there's an even more issue. The vaccine mandate. This is a whole issue being covered on by the NBA, or this is a whole topic being covered on with Kyrie Irving. Is he going to get the vaccine mandate? Will he hold out for the rest of the season? Will Kyrie Irving not even play the whole season, including if they make the playoffs? Well, this was a long stretch period of time where at the beginning of the season they announced that Kyrie will not be playing any games at all in period, so he wasn't part of the game plan at all. And then it got to where he could only play away games and not home because of the vaccine mandate set up by their mayor. Now, Kyrie's able to play full force, and with Kevin Durant going out, Kyrie Irving takes a big step up, but the Nets still go on a losing streak, even with Kyrie playing, but only on away games was he allowed to play. So you get to that point. Then you get to the playoffs. Kyrie in the playoffs. Well, first, hold on. You get Ben Simmons, and then you get to the playoffs, which Ben Simmons never touched the basketball this whole season, so I don't know how that's going to be next year. I don't know. But you get to the playoffs, and there you go. You get Boston. You get your rematch from round 1 from last year. You get swept. Kyrie didn't have he did good, but he didn't have, if I remember from the box scores, I don't think he performed well. He performed well, but at the points, I don't know. But, so now we're here, June 20th, 2022, and we're getting news about this. So, here's the thing. Do you really want to let go of Kyrie, Brooklyn? if you want to. If you don't, then yeah, keep him. But do you really want to get rid of him? Because you brought him in. Okay, the whole purpose of this was to bring him in so that you could pair him up with KD. Don't forget that. This is why you also brought him in, to pair him up with KD. This is a duo that can really perform well. I don't know why you would give up all that money and trade him away just for nothing. Basically nothing. 2019, KD leaves. KD needs somebody on that Nets team because this is KD's franchise, in my eyes. KD needs somebody to pair up with. So who does he go with? He gets Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving comes to Brooklyn, and Kyrie Irving signs with the Nets on a 4-year, $190 million, I believe. And KD gets his 4-year, I think, 3 years. And they both team up. They'll play the first year. Yeah. So you're giving up all that money for no reason. There's been a lot of rumors. There's been a lot of top teams that are in contention. The Clippers, which is a good spot, which I think will be a good idea if you want to trade them. And the Lakers have also come up, and this kind of woke me up a little bit. I was like, "Well, the Lakers. Do we want to see a LeBron and Kyrie reunion in LA?" Well, let's see. So the Lakers have already mentioned they've already said that they are going to keep Westbrook for this year if he opts out. Well, Westbrook can opt out with his 47 point million opt out player for this season. So Westbrook, they've already said that they want to bring back Westbrook for this year. Well, you know how they always say they say they want to bring back players sometimes and they never do it. Well, with Kyrie and Westbrook trade, you're going to have to give up maybe a little and a lot as well. A couple players and some draft picks. In my eyes, if you want to trade him to the Lakers, I think you should. If this is a team that you want to trade him to, I would. Not just because of reunions, but just because I think LeBron and Kyrie could perform well again. I mean, Kyrie and you saw the chemistry back in the Cleveland days when Kyrie and LeBron were playing. They had great chemistry. They assisted each other with the ball. They gave each other points. They worked well on the court. They won a chip together. And they both had well performances in that final series. Both of them had amazing clutch performances. LeBron James with the block on Iguodala in Game 7. And then just not a minute later or so, Kyrie hit the dagger 3 on Steph Curry that sealed it pretty much for Cleveland. If Kyrie doesn't hit that 3, by the way, against Cleveland, the Warriors could have probably came out, or it could have gone overtime. The Cleveland Cavaliers could have still won, or the Warriors would have won. But I think that was an important shot in Kyrie's moment. But yeah, as I said, the chemistry was amazing down there. They made the playoffs when they were there all their years, and then they get to 2017, and then you think that this could be at another run with another title run. 2017 doesn't work. You get 4-1. Okay, you go into next season, but wait, Kyrie Irving isn't feeling certain. I think the issue was that it was either LeBron that didn't want him anymore, or Kyrie just didn't want to play with LeBron anymore. He didn't want to deal with his nonsense, I guess. So he bounced. He got traded to Boston. So there you go. LeBron's left with nothing. With that being said, I think if Kyrie if this trade does happen, I think Kyrie and LeBron, including AD, I think Kyrie and LeBron working together again will work very well, and I think they can win a chip. LeBron getting Kyrie back is probably another crack at it, getting another chip for LeBron. But here's also the problem. You take Westbrook to Brooklyn and you reunite him with Kevin Durant. We knew how that worked out. That worked out very well. They went to the championship together. They lost it, obviously, to LeBron's Heat, but still, they made it, and they get to 2016. They blow the 3-1 to Golden State. So then KD wants out, and he joins a super team. Well, not a super team, but he joins the team that beat him so he can get a ring. Well, I don't know. I don't care about that. I love KD, so I'm not going to bash him for it, so I don't care, but a lot of people have their opinions on him. But anyway, look, KD and Westbrook Also, including with Ben Simmons, I think that will also work. Because again, Westbrook and Katie, they also had chemistry like LeBron and Kyrie had. They didn't win a chip, obviously, but who cares? I mean, they still had the chemistry in the world. So, with that being said, I think if this was a trade to go down, I think this trade would work in my eyes. Let's get to the Clippers. The Clippers, are also a contender right now to get Kyrie in the trade. I think that works very much as well. You trade with Kawhi coming back off his ACL tear. We don't know how he's going to be. I think he's still going to be amazing because he's Kawhi Leonard. He's the freaking claw, you guys. He has defense. He can shoot the ball very well. Like, Kawhi's just an amazing player. And then you got PG-13 over here, Paul George, who I think also works very well with. You already got your shooter that you need, and then you add Kyrie Irving. Well, that makes it a lot better because Kyrie Irving's also one of the greatest ball handlers in NBA history, in my opinion. So he brings you that score on the inside mentality, and then you have Paul George who can just shoot the ball very well at any point from mid range or the 3-point. And you have the claw, Kawhi Leonard, anywhere on the court playing defense or shooting the ball and hitting your shots for you. So here's where I stand with this trade. You probably have to give up Reggie Jackson if you want to trade him. If I'm the Clippers, you're probably going to have to give him up, Reggie Jackson up. Because Reggie Jackson set up very, very good for this Clippers team for this year's run when they didn't have all their guys out there. Reggie Jackson is that point guard that is going to be somebody that can progress each year. He's already progressed each year in LA and the Clippers so far. He's already shown it. So with that, I think you give up Reggie Jackson, maybe a couple other guys in a pick, maybe, and then you ship him off, and then Reggie Jackson with Kevin Durant. We'll see how that works. I don't know. It could work with Reggie Jackson, but if it comes down to it, I think Kevin Durant, I think Kyrie, I'm sorry. Let me slow down. I think Kyrie with the Clippers works well because, you have Kawhi and Paul George already two dominant duos when they play good together. But then once you add in Kyrie Irving, it makes the party a whole lot better. Now, where do I stand on which? I think there's other teams, but I'm not for sure. But where do I stand between both teams? Which trade is a lot more better? I go with the Lakers trade because, again, Kyrie and LeBron want to chip together. They have great chemistry. If you go back and watch their days in Cleveland, those two would just give people nightmares with all their sweeping that they did, like in the playoffs. So I think that's what you do. I think that's the good work. So I would love to see a Kyrie and LeBron reunion. So I think that'd be amazing. What else? Yeah, so now let's get down to it. What I think about for Kevin Durant, how he feels about it. All right, so Kevin Durant goes down with an injury in 2019 against the Raptors in the finals. Only played for like half a quarter. Goes down, gets injured, doesn't come back. They lose the finals that year. Goes into free agency. Now he has an option. He doesn't know if he wants to stay or he wants to go. He decides to leave. Kevin Durant wants to go to a team on his own that he can build around so that way he can go and win a championship on his own without having to have, Curry and Clay with him. Not saying that was a bad thing to do, but I feel like that he wanted to leave and go. And plus, there was tensions, I think, already with him and Draymond as much as there was. But they had that interview and they worked it out. But Durant leaving, wanting to go join a team on his own that he can build around so that way he can go get that chip. So what happens? Kevin Durant signs the deal with the Nets. And then Kyrie comes in and joins with him. And the Knicks. Missed out on that one. The Nets missed out huge on that one. So with KD and Kyrie, they both join forces, and then they get their new head coach, who's Steve Nash. No. Excuse me. No, Steve Nash joins a year later after that first season. So that first season, KD and Kyrie didn't even play together, so we didn't know how they were going to be. So you both signed your deals. You're ready to go start a champion. You're ready to go get a playoff run and maybe a championship run. Just get the squad going. You know, coming into this, KD's going to be out that first year. So you just think, all right, Kyrie, lead role player, let's do this. They go to the bubble. They didn't have KD or Kyrie, so they get bounced first round by the Raptors. Season 2, you get them both. You got a very good squad with Jared Allen, which I think trading away Jared Allen was not a good option. But they got their center in Andre Drummond now, so that's something to look forward to as he's doing well. Trading Jared, you have KD, Kyrie, Karis LeVert, and you have Jared Allen, of course, and you have others like Joe Harris. So that makes it a good squad already. So you have that, and this is the year. This is where you think that, and there's all talks with the Lakers and Nets going at it. 2021 NBA Finals, Lakers and Nets. Well, you have a good season. You're performing very well. You get to the deadline. There's somebody out of Houston named James Harden who wants to get out of Houston so bad. So there's a three-way team trade where the Nets get Harden, and Harden is happy. So now we're thinking, okay, this squad can do it all. They can go and win the chip. No, as I mentioned earlier, they don't. But we've already been through that. So here's what I'm trying to get at, because I don't think I'm getting at anything at this point. I'm sure y'all are thinking, well, what the heck? Why is this kid talking about what he already talked about? With Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, which I think were projected to be a good duo, you get to KD and Kyrie are a good duo, as I've already mentioned for the 20,000th time already. And their expectations were the Nets were, let's bring him in. Let's get Steve Nash into this second year, and then this will be good. Steve Nash is a coach. Now, apparently, and I heard this from Stephen A. this morning on First Take, apparently Kyrie, after Steve Nash would have a practice with everybody, and practice would be done with, Kyrie would get a couple of his guys off the squad, and he'd circulate his own little practice. And that's also why another reason why this is also going on right now with talks of his future is because he basically disrespected his coach, I guess, maybe in a way where he had his own practice, maybe thinking, oh, Steve Nash is not this guy, and I don't think he should be our coach. Well, now you're at this point, June 29th. You are 9 days away next week in a player off where you want to keep your star point guard or not, because you brought him in for all this money, and you brought him in for to play with Kevin Durant. So how KD probably feels, he's probably thinking, hey, keep Kyrie Irving. The reason I brought him in here was so I could play with him, perform chemistry around him, or win a chip around him. I'm not going to let you steal that opportunity away from me 3 years later after just because we got a couple playoff losses and Kyrie wants to do his own thing. Well, vaccine mandate, again, that's Kyrie's own issue there. That's his opinion. He wants to get it or not. Yeah, sure. Well, I'm sure KD wasn't mad about it, but I'm sure it was tough just having him out there on the court only this past season. But yet again, back to the point. KD wants Kyrie. He wants to go out there and prove that he can win a championship with somebody else, not leave his team and go to a team that he thinks that go to a team that beat him and win a chip with them, 2 chips with them. No, he wants a team where he can build around on his own, get stars, and he has Ben Simmons too, and get stars around him so that he can go and get what he needs to succeed and win a chip on his own. Well, for Kyrie Irving, I don't know how this is all going to go down, to be honest. Kyrie Irving, who has spectacular numbers, the man had 27.4 this year, I believe, in points per game, so that's something to look at. You don't want to lose Kyrie Irving at the same time either, Brooklyn, because keeping Kyrie Irving is a lot. You brought him in, you got to keep him, you know? It's like, why trade away a guy that you picked up 4 years ago, and now you already want to get rid of him just because of problems and issues? Yes, vaccine mandate. Yes, he left to go celebrate his birthday, which I don't know why he would do that and leave the Nets like that. I guess it's his birthday, but I'm not going to disrespect the guy. But still, why give him up? I mean, the best you can get out of this is probably the Lakers trade. You still get a point guard Westbrook, but I don't know what you still want to get out of him. But Kyrie, but with Kyrie going to another team that needs a true point guard, that helps out a lot for them. That can boost up confidence for that team to go out and get star players that they need. So Kevin Durant, again, back to him. He's probably gonna go in there, and this is probably gonna happen for these next 9 days because this free agency is gonna get crazy anyway. KD's gonna want it to the Nets. Let's keep Kyrie. Let's keep him. Let's go. Let's keep him. Get this run going so that we can go and win a chip. I think that's also a very good option. Keep Kyrie. You don't want to have Kevin Durant to just come in here and be like, all right, you just took away my star player away from me. Now what? And Steve Nash, he's probably had problems with Kyrie in the past where he probably doesn't want to keep him, maybe. I don't know. It is, quite frankly, at this point, I don't know how you could. You could keep him, you couldn't keep him. You could, you couldn't. You could or you could not, is how I should put it. But Kyrie Irving is also your true point guard again. Kyrie Irving is your point guard that brings you a lot of clutch moments, and he's that guy that can bring you big buckets on the inside. Now let's talk about other teams, because I know I forgot to mention another team. Another team that was also brought up was the Knicks. That Knicks team, that is a team that I think should go on out and get Kyrie. And here's why. Hear me out. The Knicks, I think the Knicks need to completely just clean out house, okay? The Knicks have had 2 years where 1 year they finally made the playoffs with a great squad. A year later, they had all these expectations, and then they don't make the playoffs at all and have an under 500 record. And Tim Thibault, their head coach, I'm a little with him. He either needs to stay or he either needs to go. But there hasn't been talks with him leaving, so I think he's staying unless something comes up out of nowhere. But I think getting Kyrie, I think this is your chance to get Kyrie Irving. A few years back, the Knicks had a chance to get both KD and Kyrie, and possibly even get Zion Williamson, who was coming out of that draft that year in 2019. So you had 3 players there that you could build your franchise around and go get a chip and have a good playoff run. I think this is the Knicks' redemption. I think this is their chance that they got to trade and go get their players. I think who you have to give up is maybe Kemba and a couple of others. I don't want to say Randall. I don't want to say Reddish either. But you probably want to give up Kemba. Because Kemba, when he was brought to the Knicks, he's a small point guard, but Kemba's a very great athletic point guard who shoots the ball very well, and he can give you the buckets that you need when you need him to. And the problem with Kemba on the Knicks is that at one point of the year, the Knicks just completely forgot about Kemba. They just threw him off to the side of the bench and say, hey, we're going to keep you on the bench for the rest of the year. You're not going to play for the rest of the year. So they just tossed Kemba like he was nothing. All right, so I think this is your shot, New York. I think this is your shot to go get Kyrie and go get a true point guard that you missed out on a few years ago and get that Knicks squad going. Julius Randle, I think you could pair him up with Kyrie. It could work. You could either want to keep him, because I don't know if any other else team wants Julius Randle. Cam Reddish, you can keep him. You could do that. And RJ Barrett, which actually RJ Barrett, they need to keep RJ because RJ could be him and Kyrie they both bring good shooting on their level. So both of them do. So I think you could keep RJ and pair him up with Kyrie, keep Randall. So that's where I stand on those with that talk. Kyrie, out of all this, Kyrie is going to either walk away at the end of this and Nets still are on a different team. The way that the Nets play this out for the next 9 days, maybe, or even for the rest of the free agency, is going to shape how we're going to look at free agency. How this will go, I don't know. Kyrie Irving could stay. Kyrie Irving could go. I don't know. You want to keep Kyrie, though. You want to keep Kyrie because of what he brings to a team and to why Kevin Durant picked him in the first place. And Kevin Durant needs him. But on the other side, you could trade him and he could go perform well with another team that needs a true point guard. So that way you can get that player that you needed to go win a chip. All right, well, that's all that I think I can cover today for the 24 minutes. Last episode was like 5 minutes. I think I did a good job. 24 minutes right now at top. So, yeah, so that's going to do it for the end of this podcast. Again, you're listening to Cooper Sports Podcast. Please share this podcast with others. Just within the first episode, I'm still growing. And I've had a lot of people subscribe and tell me, hey, good job on the podcast. Good job on starting with it. Keep it up. And I've had some people shout me out on their stories already. I have it on my Twitter, too. But, again, the link for Spotify and YouTube are in my bio. Thank you again for listening. Episode 2. This is episode 2. This is Cooper Sports Podcast. Thank you for listening.